Okay, so we're here with Justin Green from the Greenhouse Nursery, and he's going to show me, I'm a novice, and I'm hoping to get some blueberries put in, so he's going to give me a hand and show me how it's done.
Let's get started, Dave.
All right.
So at the Greenhouse Nursery, we've got a full line of edibles. You've chosen today blueberries and blackberries. What you're looking at right now is some of our blueberries. These are a rabbit eye variety, and they're going to do very good in this climate. The next thing you're going to need is some pine bark fines and a little bit of potting soil. We're going to get to that in a minute as far as why we're going to need this stuff. Two of the products that we have at the greenhouse that we recommend is our garden soil and of course Black Cow. You never can go wrong with. The next thing you're going to need is a few miscellaneous tools. Got some hand shovels, rakes, hand trowels, and then the last thing you're going to need is some basic irrigation material to be able to get it all watered.
All right.
And then from there, we're going to be able to put your garden in. And this, Dave, is just a basic pH tester that you can get there at the Greenhouse Nursery. Does a really good job of giving you a good indication of what your pH is.
Okay.
All right, so we're tipping just right at 6. So we're not too bad. It needs to be somewhere around 4.5 to 5.5. So we are going to have to lower it a little bit. I'll get to that in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get some of the drip tape down.
How important is it to have that pH right?
Very important. Whether you're planting blueberries, blackberries, or azaleas, the pH of the soil plays a huge factor. So we desperately need to try to achieve that, and it might not be in one stop. It might be something that you're going to have to work on, but we're going to at least start the process.
So over time we'll get it right.
That is correct. Today we've rolled our drip tape out, and this particular tape right here, it has small little emitters in it, little holes that the water is going to weep out. This is a really effective way of watering anything, especially, fruit plants. They want to be wet, but they don't want to be soaking wet, and you're able to keep the water off the leaves and keep it directly in the ground. There's very little evaporation. It's just a real effective way of irrigating.
Sounds like it's going to save me some water bills too.
It should.
So we're ready to put in our first plant.
We are. We're about to get ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig down in the soil about halfway. So got some very loose soil, which is good. We need well-drained soil, which you definitely have here. I'm going to take the plant out. I'm going to loosen up the roots just a little bit. This is real good here. It's not root bound. We're ready to go. I'm going to place it down, and we're about halfway in the ground and halfway out. And then I'm just going to start a process of amending some of our potting soil in. And this is a peat and pine bark mixed potting soil. And then I'm going to follow it up with some of our pine bark fines. A little more of our potting soil.
So you're just mixing that.
That's correct.
Potting soil.
And our drip tape's going to be right there beside the plant, so it's going to get plenty of water.
Now those drip emitters are about 12 inches apart.
They are.
Is that the one you'd recommend?
This is the one that we sell at the Greenhouse Nursery. This is the one that we're going to try to do on your farm here. I've been very effective with it. It's a real good way of watering. So we're very close on this one right here to being a finished product. I'm going to take, because our pH was a little off, this is another product that we sell here, and this right here is intended to lower the pH of the soil. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to sprinkle it around the plant.
You're just going right over the top of it.
That's right over the top.
And just 2 or 3 handfuls?
And this product right here is 100% organic, so there's no way to burn the plant, which is really, really good.
Okay.
We've had a lot of good success with this one here.
Yeah, that'd be something I'd be worried about doing, but that's good to know.
Yeah. And Dave, you have just successfully planted your first blueberry.
All right, let's put in another one.
Recommended space is around 5 feet from plant to plant, and that's going to give it enough room to grow and mature. So we've got our tape measure out, and we look like we're about 5 feet right here. So I'm going to start the process again. We're going to dig down just a little bit in your soil, which you did an awesome job of getting this prepared. Take this out, we'll loosen the roots. And again, we're about halfway out of the ground from the existing ground level. And from here, we're going to use our potting mix. Make sure our drip line's right there at the base of the plant. Pack it in really good. Make sure you don't have any air pockets. A little bit of our pine bark fines. Just a hair more of our potting soil.
So you're just mixing it up.
That's it.
Layering it up.
That's it. And this was going to make a really good organic matter as it starts rotting down. And you know, we've already checked the pH of our soil, so we know that we have to lower it. So we're going to come in and add a little bit of our soil acidifier.
That on there.
And Dave, you got your second one planted.
All right.
Easy as that.
All right. It's the best time of year to do this. I mean, we're
Now is
sitting here
a
in
good
February.
time of year. The early spring, very good time. You know, of course, these plants, most of the varieties of blueberries and blackberries need to be a few years old before they're actually going to start producing.
How old are these plants?
These right here are about a year and a half old. So through the course of this season coming into next, you should start seeing your first yield. This variety here is going to start producing somewhere in between June and July.
You mean a year from now?
A year from now.
Okay.
That's correct.
So
Sorry.
next year we could actually be picking berries.
You
off
could
here.
have you a pie.
Would
Absolutely.
Would it be like a light amount the first year and then get more the next year?
The plant is going to produce based on the size and how you take care of it as far as your fertilizing. So you're going to help dictate how much your yield is just by how you're taking care of it.
Right.
But we're going to put you on a good maintenance schedule. We're going to get you some good organic fertilizer, know the right times a year to trim, when not to trim, and coming in years to come, you should have a very good yield.
It's like we got a couple started now and we're going to do the rest, but I just had a few questions about like how to take care of them over time, like how much to fertilize, how much do we keep this drip irrigation running for how many hours a day or how many days a week, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
on your fertilizer, it is recommended to use a 10-5-5.
okay.
And that's the combination of fertilizer we're going to use. We're going to probably go about it about every 3 to 4 months.
So they like the nitrogen.
They do.
Okay.
They do. They like the nitrogen, and then they're, you know, about equal on the phosphate and the potash. So a 10-5-5 is going to be the best fertilizer. They like to be moist but not soaking wet. So we're going to probably set this irrigation to run 10 to 15 minutes every other day.
Okay.
Or unless the plant tells you it needs more than that. And some of that is seasonal depending on what time of year you actually put this stuff in.
If I'm looking at the plant, how would I be able to tell if I'm underwatering it or overwatering?
So you, with pretty much these plants and any plants, you're going to be able to see in the actual leaf itself that it's starved for water. So that process will start. You'll be able to get water on it well before it's hurt the plant, but it kind of starts letting you know I need a little water, and you can just increase that. This is a great time of year to plant. We don't have the heat that we'll have in the summer yet. These plants will be well on their way to being rooted and established before we get into, you know, the heavy heat, which will help.
Now, if it being that we just planted it now and we don't expect berries till next year, will it have any kind of berries on it or any kind of flowering that I should trim off? Or
I wouldn't worry
just
about
let it
trimming
go?
the flowers off. What I would do is do some very light tip cutting, and all that's doing is promoting growth.
Okay.
And you can get this plant larger. Most all plants are going to respond by growing to cutting, and so if you do some very light tip cutting, that's going to start getting you the structure of the plant that you need in years to come.
Right. No,
You know, to have, because again, a lot of your yield's going to be surface area. So the larger we can get these plants, the more yield you're going to have.
how big do you think they'll get?
You'll probably see these plants get in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 feet by about 3 to 4 feet.
Okay.
And that's a good size for a plant. You can maintain that. And with the size of the rows you will have more than you probably can eat.
And the blueberries don't really need to be trellised?
They do not.
Okay.
They do not.
Okay, sounds good.
You don't have to cover these plants in the winter So as far as overwintering these plants, they're very maintenance free.
So even if it's going to get down 28 degrees, don't
Not
worry
at all.
about it.
Absolutely not.
Do they go dormant over the
They
winter?
will.
Oh,
They will
okay.
go into a dormant state and be sleeping until spring and wake up and start giving you fruit.
All right, sounds good. So Justin, we finished our blueberries, and now we got some blackberries we want to put in. So how does that going to work?
So Dave, this whole process is very similar to your blueberries as it is now to planting blackberries. We have raked the ground out. We've got a level area here. First thing I'm going to do, as I did on the other, is I'm going to test the soil in here and I'm going to see where we're at.
Okay.
These plants are happiest at about 5.5 to 6.5, so they're not quite as acidic as the blueberries. You know, close but not quite. So this is very close. This is at 6.1. So it doesn't look like we're going to have to do any amending, you know, with any acid
Okay.
on this one here. So we're going to get the hole prepared, dig it down about halfway. We'll loosen up the roots.
So as far as planting them, it's almost identical.
Almost identical. We're going to use our potting soil. And again, just as on the other end there, it's very important to get a good compaction around the plant. Make sure there's no air pockets. I'm going to put a little bit of pine bark fines in on this one, and it's mainly on this one here, is just a good compost that's going to rot down and be healthy for the plant. We're not trying to get the pH quite as low as we were with your blueberries.
So you're not going to put any fertilizer in it this time?
This one here, I'm not doing anything, and doing any kind of fertilizing is not recommended initially with the plant. We need to let some of these little starter roots get started first, and then we'll start the process of your maintenance with the fertilizer.
When do you think
trimming.
When do you think we'll start kicking in with giving it a little fertilizer?
We're gonna wait probably somewhere until the end of March, coming into the 1st of April,
Okay.
and we'll start that process.
So not too long.
Not too long at all. You're at the perfect time of year. So Dave, I've got you started now where it looks like you've got an understanding. You're gonna be able to finish out your garden. I expect this thing done by about 8 in the morning, so we'll check back in with you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.